politicians and people like, and this is an incredible thing, I'm not a big Judith Collins fan, but she certainly is trying to, she's telling them to get stuffed, to get out of here and let us control our own laws. This isn't the United States after all. So, it seems, at least to me, Rino, it seems, at least to me, concerning the gun laws, both sides of the of Parliament are pretty much in agreement with these changes, eh?
Yeah, and that's a good thing to see. It's not often you see politics go on in agreement of such a thing. Obviously, escalating from last Friday. And also in America, you've got the US Democratic Bernie Sanders, who applauds New Zealand with its approach on banning these semi-automatic guns. But, it just shows that what one guy done, it's affected a majority of people, owners of the guns, people who love hunting, the gamers, all that type of stuff. And that's what happens. I'm guessing from the government point of view as well, Jacinda Ardern, our Prime Minister, doesn't want to see our police officers eventually being armed with a gun, which will only escalate it into something more. And, we'll fall into the same boat, I would guess, as America. Because if you start arming police, what's the next thing people are going to get under the black market when it comes to firearms as such, So, yeah, it is a big one. I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. So, great to see they've made the move on that. And I suppose JT could relate more because I know the police over there are have holsters, I understand. So, yeah. I know they got the guns over there, the police saying, I think we just stick with our little tasers for now.
Yeah, well, which was what I was going to ask you about there, JT. What do you reckon about the whole issue?
It was actually quite confronting the very first time I went to Australia as a young 19-year-old, however old I was at the time, and to see the coppers there with the guns on their hips. And it's just, it's something like the snakes and the spiders you get used to, and, some of the security guards, that the armour guard guys carry guns, and airport security, some of them are even armed, and you travel the world, mate, and other places, like we went to Mexico one time, and there's coppers walking around the streets with semi-automatic, rifles and stuff like that. So it's just, unfortunately, the way the world is. I'm not, I shouldn't compare Mexico with their situation to what happens here, but I think sadly, I don't agree with it, but I think sadly New Zealand will head that way. In terms of the Americans with their Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, I think that's, that was back in the day when they had to stuff the rifle with powder and then ram it and all that other stuff compared to what guns have become today. So that amendment needs to be amended or punted. I'm not a gun fan, but I understand the right of people to have them and for hunting purposes, all that sort of stuff. But it just makes a bit of a mockery of it when you get guys, lunatics like that idiot last week running around and doing what he did. So I think definitely Crusher Collins and whoever else is against loosening gun laws needs to, get a grip.
What did they do last week? Oh, right. Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else.
No.
But it is interesting, and I don't know what America has got with guns, eh? I mean, there's just something about America and their blooming guns, eh, JT?
Oh, only in America, that's the saying, mate. They're the ones that brought us wrestling and Jerry Springer and, rubbish like that, and the Kardashians, so, say no more.
What is it with their guns there, Ra? Can you enlighten us some, maybe?
Well, they have a different mindset altogether, Keithy. I mean, in their eyes and their mindsets, it's like it's a right to carry firearms over here. It's more privilege.
Yes.
And it goes way back, the historical, some places like Australia, I suppose, you've got the wildlife and the wild natives and, they started, sort of relying on weapons to protect themselves over here. Not so much, but yeah, that's a mindset thing, Keithy. And Americans, as we know, and JC sort of made mention, they can be sort of, quite out there. But yeah, here in New Zealand, we're too small a place for everybody to be taking, semi-automatic around the place. So how it's changing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, though. It is, at least it's interesting to me how the United States is in their attitude towards guns, because to me, it seems that the Americans only allow a certain colour of people to have guns. If you're of a different colour, then for some reason, they don't seem to want you to have guns. So, it just doesn't make sense to me, man.
Well, yeah, sadly, there's a bit of truth in there, Keithy, not just in the States, but in a lot of places. But, at the end of the day, what's that old saying? Guns don't kill people, people kill people, sadly. But guns do have a part in that, like we saw last week, which was, it's not the one, and you don't want that in any community. So, no, as I say, I keep reiterating, the laws are going to change. So, and they've been well patronised. A lot of owners are kind of following suit and making mention that they do own firearms. But it's still a long road to go. And I think the greater good is that we never, sort of repeat what happened last week.
Just real quick, JT, what do you reckon? Obviously the laws in Aussie are very different. Well, at least they're a little bit more different and over there. Do you think we should adopt things like that here in New Zealand? How they've secured their gun control?
Well, unfortunately, their gun laws came into vogue with the massacre at Port Arthur back in 1996, I think, when I think 30-odd people were killed back then. And there is a couple of theories going around that was a big setup by the government. I mean, a month before it happened, the Tasmanian state government purchased a 17-bed mobile ambulance. Now, Tasmania is the least populated state in Australia, and no other state in Australia had one of these things. So it's like they knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And that's what. So Australia had a big gun amnesty, and people could bring in their firearms without, question of where they got them from or how they got them. So, mate, like I said before, I think it's just a matter of time before New Zealand needs to arm their police. Just sad reality. I think that's the way the world's going, and it sucks. But had they, I don't know how do they even carry firearms in a glove box in the car? Do they have to sign paperwork to get them out, or do they have to get the armed offender squad involved, and hence the bit of a delay, perhaps potentially. Right. So. I don't know, mate. But like I said, with Australia, you get used to it, like the snakes in the spiders. You get used to seeing guns everywhere with law enforcement, so it almost becomes second nature. You don't think anything of it anymore.
True. Reno, would you know? Do they carry guns in their glove boxes, or do you know anything along those lines there, Reno?
Yeah. I think I think they've got a firearm as such in their boots.
Right.
In the boot of their car. I'm pretty sure that's all the armed someone do. I don't know fully 100% though, but there is parts where you got to do the form, get the gun out, and the armed offender's always there and everything like that. But it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before we arm our police. JT's right. It's only time. Look, we wouldn't have thought this event would have happened in our country in a long time. It's happened, and that's the fact it is. There is going to be another one. That's the reality of life. There's so many weird people out in these worlds these days. You're going to get another idiot who wants to be another copycat. So it is going to happen. I think we just got to smell the roses and realise this isn't the first and it won't be the last. It will happen, and it's only a matter of time before we start arming our police. We are going to follow down the same line as most of the other countries in the world. And while I, for one, would personally not like to see that happen, obviously, like many would, but it's just a matter of time.
Indeed. And on that note, we're just going to go to a break. We'll be back with more Full-Time right after this. On behalf of the Full-Timers, I would just like to say big thanks to Joachim Currid, who brings us our music intro. Check him out on joachimcurrid.com. He's also on YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Spotify, Instagram, and follow him on Facebook. Another big thanks goes out to Silent Partner, who brings us our outro. Check out their music on YouTube. And also thanks must go to the Polish Ambassador for the backing music for this promo. Check out the Polish Ambassador on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Beatport, Instagram, Twitter, and on his website, thepolishambassador.com.
You're listening to a podcast produced by Tūrangi FM, #1 iwi radio station in Aotearoa. We play each full-time session on Tūrangi FM Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. You can listen in live on our Tūrangi FM media page. Just click the main Tūrangi FM logo to tune in online. Or if you're in the Gisborne area, we're on the radio frequencies 91.7, 95.7 and 98.1. Also check out the Fooltime Facebook page where you can listen to the podcast again. Make comments and click links that will lead you to other ways to listen to the podcast, such as Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, Podchaser and Tumblr. Right, let's get back to the Fools on Fooltime.
Welcome along to our second session here on Fooltime. Want to send a shout out to, of course, our sponsors, Race Greg Motors. They are down there on Grey Street. Also want to send a birthday shout out to Marka Henry. He's my son's best mate. So he's celebrating his, I think he's 23 years old today. So big happy birthday to Marka Henry, who's celebrating his birthday today. And no doubt be out on the town. So good on you, mate. Anyway, let's turn our attentions, I suppose, onto sport. Now, of course, we had your Highlanders last night playing against the Blues there, Ra. I'm sure I told you the news at the break. So what do you reckon, bro? What do you reckon? How's your team going?
I think you said they got beaten by the Blues, and that in itself is a bit of a surprise. But if you're a Blues fan, not so. They're on their winning ways. Maybe what's the second round? So I don't know. The Blues maybe finding their feet all of a sudden and doing it without Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah, maybe that could be the case, eh? So you would have watched that game there last night, eh, Rino?
Yeah, caught the most of the second half when I got home from the marae, and to see the game going for the majority, 23-all until the last 10 minutes, and the Blues getting with a try for Tui Pulutu right on the line there, and the Blues come home with the win, held out the Highlanders who were trying their hardest in the last 8 minutes. Obviously after Waisaki Naholo got sent off for a yellow card with that dangerous tackle, but the other All Black Rico got the better of him when they went up against each other. Rico's just he's a star, man. That guy's got speed to burn, and just some of the skills he showed last night. He's the best number 11 going around in the country at this stage. A good win for the Blues. Leon McDonald, very, very happy. Why wouldn't you be happy when your team wins? Because, they've been close or thereabouts with most of their games. They haven't been thrashed as much. And to get their win over the Highlanders, when you talk about history, 2016 was the last time that the Blues had a win over another New Zealand franchise. Yeah. So it's been 20 games. It's been a long time. They've shaken the monkey off the back. And the team they beat 20 games ago was the Highlanders. So a bit of history last night for them. Good for the loyal fans at Eden Park, and a great win for the Blues. Let's hope they can spring another one next weekend.
Well, it's only one game, though. I mean, one game.
That's it. Yeah.
And so it's nothing to really get all hoo-hard about, I suppose. I mean, it's just their second game in the of the season that they've actually won. So at the moment, at least to me, it just seems like another ho-hum Blues Blues season. But I suppose they've broken the hoodoo. I mean, well, that's one thing, eh? I suppose, Rino?
Yeah, it is. They've struggled, like I say, against any New Zealand franchise, and the one that's not going that great this year, below them now, the Chiefs, who are sitting there, and it doesn't get any easier for them this weekend as well. So, what goes around comes around, and I suppose Blues fans will be, happy. The team had a win, and I won't move on to next week. Like you say, a lot of players throughout this Super Rugby season being rested. You got your Canes coming up as well. Big game for them. I know Geordie Barrett's playing at number 12. A few of the All Blacks have been rested there as well. And it just shows, with the Blues, what they did last time. It brought the All Black players on. in the last 20 or so minutes.
Yeah.